Recently, a couple of my mentors, who just happened to also be my colleagues, announced that they were retiring, that they were going to leave where I teach here at Ozark Christian College and move into, frankly, places of obscurity. And frankly, I was angry. My response to them was, no, please stay. Please don't go. I mean, wherever you go, just tell me where you're at and I'll go there with you. I still need your voice. We still need your voice. We need your wisdom. We need your perspective. Please don't go. And gently and kindly, both of them individually and in their own ways, they rebuked me, saying very clearly, saying very loudly, Shane, it is best for me, it is best for you, it is best for the kingdom if I go. As I was wrestling with my heart as it was being pulled and longing for my mentors to stay, I was reminded of 2 Kings chapter 2, where Elijah is preparing himself to leave Elisha. It says this, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. When the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. Elijah said to Elisha, stay here. The Lord has sent me to Bethel. You stay and you do the work here, but I am going to leave. But Elisha said, as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you. So they went down to Bethel. The company of the prophets at Bethel came out to Elisha, came out to the disciple, and they asked, do you know that the Lord is going to take your master from you today? Oh, yes, I know, Elisha replied, so be quiet. He loves his mentor so much that he doesn't want to leave him wherever he goes. And when anybody talks about his mentor leaving, he asks them to be silent. Then, verse 4, then Elijah said to him, stay here, Elisha. The Lord has sent me to Jericho. And he replied, as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you. So Elijah and Elisha went to Jericho. The company of the prophets of Jericho went up to Elisha and asked him, do you know that the Lord is going to take your master from you today? It's interesting how other wise people in the narrative are trying to guide young Elisha to pay attention to what the Lord is doing, not just in the life of Elijah, but in the life of the young prophet Elijah as well. Don't you know that the Lord is going to take your master from you today? Yes, I know, Elisha replied. So be quiet. Then Elijah said to him for a third time, stay here. The Lord has sent me to the Jordan. And he replied, as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you. So the two of them walked on. Then 50 men from the company of the prophets went and stood at a distance, facing the place where Elijah and Elisha had stopped at the Jordan. Elijah took his cloak and rolled it up and struck the water with it. The water divided to the right and to the left, and the two of them crossed over on dry ground, kind of like when the nation of Israel crosses the Jordan into the promised land. When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, tell me, what can I do for you before I am taken from you? Now I want to stop right there, because as I was reading this text this morning, I was so overwhelmed because I was relating so deeply to the emotions and into the moment of Elisha, when all of a sudden it clicked for me that right now I might understand and empathize with Elisha, but my heart, my desire is to leave this world like Elijah. I've seen ministers recently and in the past not leave their church as well. I've seen parents on their deathbed not leave this earth well. I've seen Christians cling to positions of power, refusing to leave, and when they do leave, they did not leave well. But there's something about Elijah in this text that is startling to me. He doesn't just take care of the one that is coming after him. He looks forward resiliently, with a resolute firmness, confidently believing that it is not only good for him to leave, but it is good for Elisha and for the other prophets. Because there is a trust in God whenever we step from one phase to another, when we step from working to retirement, when we step from living to the resurrection. When it has come with resolute boldness, it becomes a witness. It becomes a distinct way of honoring God. It becomes Christ-like, who emptied himself, who emptied himself of heaven in order to become flesh and to transition into life on this earth. But do you remember what Jesus was talking to his disciples about when he was getting ready to leave? He said, "Oh, it's going to be so good for you when I leave." Because he understood that sometimes the best thing for the people around us is to transition into what comes next. I'm a child of the 90s, and so one of my favorite Christian musicians is a guy by the name of Rich Mullins, who frankly, if I could vote for a modern day prophet, this musician, Rich Mullins, would have been one of them. And my dad's favorite song, which has become my favorite song of Rich Mullins, is called simply Elijah. And I pulled up online the lyrics, and I just want to read to you the first verse or two in the chorus. Listen to what he says. "The Jordan is waiting for me to cross through. My heart is aging, I can tell. So Lord, I'm begging for one last favor from you. Here's my heart, take it where you will. This life has shown me how we're mended and how we're torn, how it's okay to be lonely as long as you're free. Sometimes my ground was stony and sometimes covered up with thorns, and only you could make it what it had to be. And now that it's done, well, if they dressed me like a pauper, or if they dined me like a prince, if they lay me with my fathers, or if my ashes scatter on the wind, I don't care." And then comes the chorus. He says, "Because when I leave, I want to go out like Elijah, with the whirlwind to fuel my chariot of fire. And when I look back on the stars, it'll be like a candlelight in Central Park. And it won't break my heart to say goodbye." My prayer this week is for you to reflect on your own life and the transitions God is guiding you to, and to embrace it. Because ultimately, fighting the movements of God, the calling of God, however painful it may be, usually is in your best interests and the interest of those that are coming after us. With humility, I pray that like Rich Mullins, I too can go out like Elijah. I love you guys. Have a good week.